Yes, hello. Welcome to a very special birthday edition of Larger Than Live.
Take two.
Here on the Back 40 at House Gamble. We are here on the Oasis, at the Oasis, within the Oasis, on a very special day, boys and girls. This is a big day. It's a day that people celebrate worldwide, not just here in northern Kentucky.
It's the last damn day of August. That's what it is. Get to September and let's get to the fall.
You'll see that this birthday cake
Yes.
will probably be here next year because I'm sure it won't even be lit or blown out or spit upon and served.
Well, you don't like that.
I don't like that.
But
We'll
wait a minute.
We'll get to that in a moment.
Airplane overhead, air conditioner kicked on. We got the Hawk overhead making sounds. He's closing in on death.
Yes.
And then we got these damn little yappy dogs
Yeah.
who I heard this morning when I walked by, get some control of your stupid-ass little yappy dogs and shut them up or take them inside, please.
Apparently,
Happy birthday.
Michael Vick has bought a
God.
place over here, and he's resumed his former ways because they are just chewing each other to death.
Well, what it is
over there.
there's
What
like
are they doing?
There's like 6 or 8 little yippy dogs yapping in 3 or 4 adjoining yards, and they let them out all at the same time, and they go at each other, I guess.
Well, that's
I don't know,
fantastic. But, you know,
whatever.
it makes for great background information on a program that, again, really this entire show is going to be dedicated to you
No.
and what you love about your
it's not.
birthday.
No.
So,
Nothing.
therefore, we're done. That's the end of the show.
There
We
you go.
appreciate you watching.
No, it's all good.
Happy birthday, Fred.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We
very
won't talk
much
about
so.
how old you are or how old
I
you
don't
aren't.
care.
It's how
I'm
old
older
you
than hell.
feel.
Feel like hell. 70.
Okay.
70 to 75. When you hit 50, it's all downhill from there. But it's larger than live. It's the reality check. It's Gamble and Finn each and every Monday, 7 o'clock.
Yep.
We do this Facebook Live. Want you to like and share and tell a friend. And also, don't forget, check out our customized URL and subscribe
Yep.
to our YouTube channel.
Our YouTube
All
channel.
That.
How
And we've
about
got,
that?
And we've got another new feature. We had our first one last Wednesday.
Yep.
The house guest. We started with Catherine Nero. She got jobbed in the morning on a local TV station, 9.
Yeah.
And now she's really done well for herself.
Yeah, she, as we talked about last week, she really pivoted and kind of created this little mini empire.
Which is really cool.
Catherine Nero
Yeah.
Inc., which is great. And we're going to extend this as part of what we're doing. And we're going to
Right.
kind of continue to have the guests that will take the time to be on with us. And I'm excited about this Wednesday night, the opportunity to sit down. Because I honestly, I don't think I've actually seen and sat and talked with him 10 years, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a while. Andy Furman, who, of course, for those who are saying Andy Furman, that name sounds familiar. Why? Well, he's got a lifelong of PR gigs, public relations, very promotion-driven. But in this market was really a media guy. Still is on Fox Sports Radio nationally a couple days a week. But he did 700 WLW Sports Talk for a period of 10-plus years, first with Chris Collinsworth, and then took it over on his own after being sports director at WLWT Channel 5 for a short period of time in sales there, sales at LW. And then I did it for a short period, and then Lance is doing it now on 700 WLW, weeknights 6 to 9.
Well, and another great thing about Furman, and for those of you who do know the name, or maybe you've moved to town since he's been on LW, he's a guy that also kind of worked his way through the PR game, as you mentioned, but did some of those promotions you probably would associate with names like Bill Veck and some of the others, but some of those crazy minor league promotions or horse track promotions, different things. And I can't wait to hear some of these stories that he has to tell of things that, honestly, if you tried to do them today, there's no way in hell.
You would, and I guarantee you he's been fired from a few jobs, but I would tell you today he'd be lucky to make it a month.
Yeah.
I mean, just because of, but it's because of creativity
Right.
and sensitivity today.
Yeah.
That you know, sticks and stones, but promotions will really hurt me. Would be the problem for him today. Very creative, and those are the things that, to me, you know, I remember. I think it was Bill Veck Jr., I believe, that said, if you come to a minor league baseball game and know the score, we have not done
We've done
our
it
job.
wrong. Yep.
So I mean, that was what Drew did, and a very enjoyable guy. Kind of has a persona on air that I don't think a lot of people understand, and when you get to know him, great guy. But
on air, he was a crazy person, and in the hallways, a totally different guy. And if you did, like you just said, take the time to get to know him and speak with him and not at him, I think he was a whole different person.
2 people I know through my radio career who are allowed to smoke, not really. Andy was allowed to puff on cigars in a very small office that was extremely combustible because it had nothing but paper in it. And then when I did a show for a brief period with Bob Trumpy, who people don't realize, Trump, the ex-Bengal tight end, did 20 years of NBC golf.
Yeah.
And he would sneak in the stairwell. And literally they had to keep sending the engineer down to go, come on, dude, we've told you this. Don't do it. He just couldn't help himself. I mean, back in the day when NFL guys literally puffed on cigarettes at halftime in the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a guy to whom the patch means, going in and taking skin from your ass and putting it on your knee.
And remember, before Collinsworth, Trumpy really was like the godfather of sports talk. I mean, he was the one who did it, and you called in, and you asked the question, and he told you the answer, and you went away.
Oh, Trumpy.
I mean, not today.
Trumpy. Well, before we go any further, just a quick note, because we've talked about, all the different places we've set up our office, this being our favorite place, obviously. We worked with our friends at Fueled Collective there in the Rookwood Commons. And if you don't know what Fueled Collective is and you're trying to figure out office space maybe for your business, or, maybe you just want a place where you can gather and do some different things off-site, perfect place. And I would tell you, the reason that you want to check it out isn't just because of all the cool graphics that they've sent us, which I do believe are going to run probably at any moment. But you see, Fueled Collective is more than just cool graphics, and those typed graphics, a little nod to Furman as well. And we'll get to the whole idea of that guy and his typewriter. But also, they host a lot of events. So if you're into bourbon tastings, there's a bar involved. There's a social aspect to it. This Saturday, they're running a Derby promo. And tickets,
I have to keep reminding myself it's not the first Saturday in May.
I know,
it's this Saturday.
First Saturday in September. But I think $20. Tickets are $20. There's food. There's drinks. I think they have a 300-inch screen there in a stadium style. You could go in there and check it out. If you're interested, just check out Fueled Collective. I think you're going to dig it. If you're looking for office space or just a place to kind of do some business outside of the normal way of doing business, they saw all this coming. They figured it out. Let them do the work for you. So we talk about them because we go there and we use it and we believe in it.
A lot of cool AV space if you want to do some stuff like that, meeting space, hang out. They have a bar.
Yep, we mentioned that. They've got bourbon tasting. I think there's going to be a big bourbon part of this, and I'm sure a mint julep or two will cross the bar and cross the lips on Saturday.
Did you ever eat burgoo?
Burgoo? No, I did not.
What is it? It's like chili?
I don't know, because it sounded too much like booger to me, so I wasn't going to eat burgoo.
Well, I just don't like that. I didn't think of that, but it just doesn't
Does
sound
it have okra
good.
in it? Does burgoo have okra?
Okra.
Or is that, what's that? What's the one that has okra in it?
I really think it's like some kind of chili.
Burgoo?
This damn humidity is driving me crazy. It just sucks in this market. It's off.
Are you all of a sudden hot and sweaty now? What just happened?
I don't know.
You were just talking about how lovely it was moments ago.
No, it's nice out except for the humidity. Temperature for the end of August and the early September is delightful. The humidity sucks. The weather forecasters are the biggest pack of ass clowns ever. They couldn't even get a freaking hurricane right. That weather forecast over the weekend was abysmal.
Well, and
was
it's funny.
It not?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because you and I both had events as we were trying to get our lives back to normal.
Good luck.
Very weather intensive. The forecast screwed us both multiple times.
Yeah, well, you on Saturday took an outside event, and you hate to do this, but you can't, when you're planning a massive event that has a lot of staging and entertainment and everything, you can't go, well, okay, we moved inside, now it's not going to rain, so let's go back outside. So you listening to the forecast.
As of Thursday, we said, you know what, we don't want to take the chance, 40 or 50%, but I'm like, that's not much, but you and I both know. You can guarantee the live music outside was supposed to start at 4. This was at March 1st Brewing up in kind of Sycamore Township area. And the music was supposed to start live at 4 o'clock. Well, you know as well as I do. If there's going to be rain, 20% chance. You know when it's going to start? 3:58.
Yeah, right. I was going to say 4, actually,
So we moved it inside, erring on the side of caution, and moved all the bands inside. Everybody's cool. Worked out great. Saturday ended up being the nicest day of the year with a nice breeze blowing across, no rain whatsoever.
Right.
And even on Saturday morning, or late Friday, Saturday, they were still talking about, do you want to move it back outside? I'm like, no. At this point, I don't think we can.
Right.
It worked out great inside, but it's just one of those things where I don't know. And it's like we talked about with Catherine Nero. When you're inside of a system, you don't necessarily see what your decisions and what you're doing, how it's perceived and affected, and how it affects people from the outside looking in. There's got to be some further thought given to that. I mean, I don't give a shit about the bus stop report or the this or the that, to be honest with you, because I'm out of that arena. But make some practical application to what's going on. Think it through. I mean, it was irritating for me, and it was part of what we talked about this whole show being the upside down world. I thought I was getting back to normal. We were going to be outside doing kind of like we did on July 4th, and then I get there, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, now we got to move this, now we got to do this, now there's social distancing, now it was all done. But even then, a great crowd, but like you, we finally go out and do something that resembles something normal, but you walk out and it's masks. You feel like you're in an episode of Star Trek or The Twilight Zone. It's just not comfortable.
Well, and I'll get to Friday night where it was not comfortable wearing a mask in a driving rain, because it did rain for a decent period on Friday night.
Waterboarding is right.
But I will tell you this, and the reason I know a lot of people go, he's always complaining about the weather forecasters, and you're right, I am, because they suck. And what irritates me more than anything is they just give forecasts, and they're inaccurate, and they just go on and without any I would feel better if they would come on and say, like we do, if we say
we spit
something,
the bit on that one,
right? But they'd have to do it damn near every day, and the problem is that people rely on, and I get it. I get the volatility of weather. I get a hurricane, and I get systems that shift or was supposed to go, but it's almost like, I hate to say this, and this will sound familiar if you follow the path of the C word since March. It's almost like they create rain and inclement weather and this ridiculous, I'm making today a weather impact day. Why? Because it might rain? That's not a weather impact. It's freaking rain. But they do that because then they want you to watch more, I guess. I don't know. A consultant probably told them to do that.
Well, that's exactly what happened. But here's the thing I would say. Okay, so you've got the limited amount of time. Well, it consumes a lot of the newscast time.
Too much.
Itself, okay.
For something they don't know what's going to happen.
So then you get a screen capture or a 45-second blurb that goes down to social media saying the exact same thing. Why not use the immediacy of the social media to go, hey, everything is shifted. We're not going to be on the air for another 4 hours, but here's what you can plan for now. Yeah. We've been watching this, and this is what you might want to do now moving forward.
So I had a golf event on Saturday. I was actually representing St. Elizabeth Healthcare, and they sponsored a high school golf invitational at the Kenton County golf courses. And I was back and forth with the course and with the person from Highlands High School who was essentially the organizer about what do you think, and how saturated can the course get, whatever the case. Saturday was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely gorgeous. Now, I will tell you, I had a new experience, and that was we arrived at the course at 5:30 a.m.
And wait, why?
Well, because the first tee time was 6:45, where they had to bump it back 10 to 15 because it literally wasn't light. But because of the protocol, and they're only going off one tee, and you have to space out the golfers a certain 12 minutes per, they had that number of players, and I've never before. We were using our phones as flashlights because I had to hang signage, pop-up tents, certain things that we didn't want to do because when I went out Thursday, naturally – we got the signage and got out there, and boom, here come the rains. I'm not hanging signs in driving rain.
Had you even tried to do it Friday with all that driving rain, who knows where those tents would have been when you got there.
Well, that's why we didn't do it, so we knew Saturday morning was going to be rough. But everything turned out great. It went awesome, and everybody had a great experience. But, boy, I got to tell you, Friday night, and I was at the kickoff of the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown. Unbelievable game, one of the best. We've been doing this for 23 years, and it was 53-52. Sal beat Elder in double overtime. And this was the first week of Ohio, and it was very interesting what to expect. Right. Because this protocol with 15% of capacity and, you got to wear your mask and can walk this way, stay to the right, and then when you leave, go to the left and sit down and keep your mask on. Awesome having a mask on in the rain, especially when it's driving rain, and space out. And they had, all the markings down on the seats, and keep the players on the sideline social distanced. I mean, come on, man. I mean, now don't kid yourself. They did a great job. Both schools. I would tell you, 95 to 98% of the people entering that facility had a mask on. So kudos to them, because I've been one that said, You want your kids to play. It's up to you. You have to do what they're asking you to do. But some of the fallout, they had observers around the state, and some of the things that they're asking these people to do, it's just unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's unreal. Like, don't. So it was a double overtime win. The LaSalle went for two after they had the possession. They were down 52-51. They scored to make it 53-52. Game over, and they were jumping up and down celebrating. I believe they were somewhat admonished for like that celebration. I mean, what do you want them to do? Just split up?
Observers should be there to observe and reward best practices.
And they largely were.
Not to nitpick to the point.
No, and I will say,
honest to God, if you call that a C-word pile-up, at the end of the game, if kids are celebrating, I mean, you even saw the, different baseball players, and we'll get to baseball and hockey as well, but they're playing. These are emotion-driven, testosterone-driven, in some cases, estrogen-driven, whatever. The point being, it's enthusiasm-driven.
Somebody told me
activity.
Somebody was at a game.
Did I just say estrogen-driven?
You did, and I just act like I didn't hear that.
Actually, that's my new nickname, by the way, for this new generation, Estrogeneration X.
There you go. So here you go.
Put that in my list.
So there was a lightning. It was heavy rainfall, a storm, and a lightning delay. So the protocol is don't go into school because you can't go in the locker room. So they put the team back on the bus. So think about this.
Rubber tires, Fred.
A bus was a long way away, so this team had to walk, getting pummeled with rain up to their ankles they were walking through, get on an air-conditioned bus and sit alongside one another. But by God, when you get back out on the field, stand on the dot. I mean, there's some of the common sense and illogic about this. And look, I feel bad. I'm not trying to besmirch what they're trying to do because nobody wants the season for these people more than I do. But at the end of the day, there just has to be some common sense protocol too.
And I think part of what should have come out of any governor's mouth is if they're going to just hand it back to you, they need to hand it back to you and say, we trust you to, as I always say, use your head for more than a hat rack.
And I think for the most part
common sense.
They've given
and
guidelines.
Let them do it.
Right. Now, how weird is this in Ohio? The NFL is going to kick off, right? High school football's underway.
Correct.
UC is going to play, and no Ohio State. I mean, the Big Ten Conference, if that commissioner survives, I don't get the logic.
But didn't I see today that they're talking about maybe we'll play in October or November
they're talking
or December or January.
Well, they're talking about going after Thanksgiving or whatever to domes and playing. I mean, I get it. Look, they want to play. I completely understand it. But at some point, and I got to tell you, I was with somebody today whose son goes to the University of Dayton and already got the call from the son that said, we might be all getting sent back home. Yeah. At the colleges and universities, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Well, and think about this, though. I mean, if let's say the NFL decides that they're going to push off, it's not dissimilar to the NHL or the NBA bubble or MLB. Those guys have contracts. They have made their bones, and even the rookies, they have a certain level of stability and comfort within knowing that they've made it.
Don't forget the NFL contract, though, is not guaranteed. Only your signing bonus is guaranteed.
But nevertheless, there's still you still as one of those guys even can sit back and go, I've made it to the NFL.
Sure.
The high school kids, the high school kids, they're looking at scholarships. I mean, if they got 1 year left, this is the year they've got to shine.
No question.
College kids, if they want a shot to go to the NFL, this is their year to shine. I mean, baseball's a weirdo kind of different, work your way through 52 different ways to get to where you're going and finally become a pro when you're 51.
But think about this, though. Baseball, they killed the amateur draft down to next to nothing, and then you got drafted. There's no minor league baseball, so they lost the season too.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. There's so much more at stake for these guys trying to figure out a way to play. I will tell you this, and I saw a thing, and I know you're going to say this is just me being a homer because I'm a Steelers fan, but Tomlin did a piece, and I don't know if you saw the video.
I saw that. Yes,
with the whole team locked in arms, and I'm looking at this going, oh, God, not you guys too. But what he said, and if you haven't seen it, just forget it's the Steelers and just listen to what he said. He basically says, look, we're all out here. We know things aren't right, but we also understand we're privileged to be in the position that we're in. We are lucky to be here. We know it's time to do more than just talk about it. We want to be part of it. And the phrase that he used that I thought was great was building a more perfect union. And I thought that speaks volumes. And if these guys will now take what they've said and put it into action instead of just pontificating like King James, who I have just had it up to here with, he can piss off. I am done with LeBron James, honestly, because I think there are so many more people that have a little bit better eye level. He's afraid. Is he afraid? What do you think he's afraid of? You afraid one of his security guys is going to run out of bullets before they cut somebody's head off with a AR or whatever? I mean, I'm tired of hearing LeBron James tell me how afraid he is. But if they actually do what they say they want to do and be part of the solution, then great. I thought it was pretty well done, and they really did step up and at least admit that they're in a privileged situation, no matter who they are.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I understand, and in my class at NKU, we've had some great discussion last week because it's a living, breathing case study in public relations. And I was intrigued to ask each of the students in the room to kind of give me their thoughts and what would you do. And the reality for me is that I have no issue with taking a stand. I have no issue with believing and having a platform. I just want there to be an outcome from the stand.
Yes,
I mean,
action.
And I get it. Taking days off, bringing more attention, I'm okay with that as long as it leads to something. If it doesn't, what's the purpose?
You know what? But correct me if I'm wrong. Here's what it's led to.
What?
People just hate professional athletes now. This hasn't had a damn thing to do with George Floyd or this most recent case, and it's all about now people going, all right, then, we don't need you.
Well, that's the risk. It's funny.
Stephen A. Smith, he's one of those guys that sometimes I'm on board, sometimes I'm not.
I am too.
But
run
he's
hot and
even
cold.
said, this is a risky move, and I'm glad all teams did this instead of just with the Bucks and a couple of others. But this is a risk. But the thing that he said today, he goes, I like the fact that all the teams are doing this. But again, it goes back to the fact they've got money in the bank. What they're not thinking about are the organizations, the people that work at the stadiums, the vendors, all of those people. There are so many people who depend upon them playing black, white, green, yellow,
think about
blue,
this.
purple, whatever.
The only thing about that currently is none of those people are working anyway because there are no fans. So right now, that's the C word related. So, I mean, it's
then it's awfully convenient.
Well,
perhaps it's too convenient.
Maybe, but I've gotten you turned on to a sport, don't I?
Yes, you do. And I would tell you this, and we'll reset before we get to that. He's Gamble. I'm
Reset,
Finn.
please.
We are on the back 40 here in the Oasis at House Gamble. It's a lovely Monday night for Larger Than Live. We appreciate you guys joining us. I meant to hop on here and see who's watching along with us so that we can respond to any questions or FUs or whatever it is we might have going on here.
Combination of two, probably.
Don't forget to like and share and with anybody that you can, because we want to make sure that we get the word out. We would hate for anyone to be deprived of all of this wisdom.
Oh, my God.
So please do that. And don't forget also to subscribe to our YouTube channel because we have a
customized URL.
Yes, we do.
I can hear myself talking.
I know.
Isn't
Sorry,
it's
I
the
got to turn
magic
this
of
thing.
live Facebook right in front of me.
Outstanding. So, no, the NHL, which is funny because I've always said I like NHL playoff hockey. I don't watch the season because I don't have a team.
Understand.
Even with Columbus up there, I've never had a team.
They choked again.
And that was you
Brutal.
called me and you go, dude. This was the first game against Tampa Bay? They went into 5 overtimes? Or was that the second game?
And they never – no, it was the first game.
First
and they
game.
never seemingly recovered from that.
Well, I turned that on. That game started at 3 o'clock in the
I know.
afternoon. It wasn't
was
over till almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
They ended up having to postpone the
yeah,
game
because
after
they had to
that.
have 98 minutes of ice time between, and they had to move the game after that to the next day.
Yeah, well, it was crazy because I started watching. I'm like, God, I forgot how much I love pro hockey.
Yeah.
The speed. And I started watching it. Even I've got now with the YouTube TV, I can record all these games, go back and watch. And I love Doc. Is it Doc Emmerich?
Doc Emmerich.
Maybe the
Yep.
best sports
He's
announcer
outstanding.
of all
Outstanding.
time.
Right.
Just he totally sucks you into the game, but it's so much fun to watch. But I contrasted that with, you got me into that. And I'm like, I love the speed, I love the pace, the professionalism, how good they are. But then I also can appreciate the pace of professional soccer, which drives you insane.
Well,
I
it
love
does.
the
I just-
slow
I-
nature of
I get
watching it build.
But here's what I
versus
would
the
tell
fast
you.
pace.
The reason you like playoff hockey is, and I know people think I'm crazy, a lot of people like it for the fights during the – I don't want any of that.
No, I don't
I
want
just
it.
want to
It's
watch
not
hockey.
even fights.
If I wanted to watch that, I'd watch boxing, and that's why it's too risky to get undue penalties in the postseason because you could cost your team being in the box. So, no, I think, and I would tell anybody out there, if you've never been to an NHL game live, and you haven't.
No, I have not.
Well, if we can ever get back into a facility, if they ever have a sporting event where fans are allowed again, that'll happen on November 5th, but that's a whole other story. But I would tell you, go. If you go to an NHL game live, you will. I'd be very disappointed if you didn't say that's the best sporting event I've ever seen live.
Well, you mentioned going out to see the Vegas Knights.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing a couple games out there and just saying it was the best experience of anything you would ever see.
This house, my sons are very happy. Vegas up 3-1 after 4 games in the Western Conference semis. So one more and they're in the Western Conference final. They've got a legitimate shot. And one of the great stories of the playoffs, and I know lots of our listeners have been wondering about the New York Islanders.
Yes.
Viewers. But the Islanders are really, they were not a team that was expected to do much, and now they're 1 win away from being in the Eastern Conference final.
Well, I've enjoyed watching Tampa Bay because the last place you would think there'd be really good ice hockey would be
Florida.
Tampa Bay or Vegas for
that
matter.
But check it out. If you want to watch the playoffs, they're doing the bubble scenario too. I guarantee, especially this is a time to pick it up. It's the conference semis, and as you get to the finals and then the Stanley Cup, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, but I like the fact for myself that I can appreciate the methodical nature of soccer and the fact that you can go 90 minutes, however many minutes, and it could be 1-0 versus that where the other night I think I saw, 7-1.
Well,
I think that was the Bruins.
I would tell you that the Bruins got beat.
They got their ass handed to them.
Yeah, but I would tell you that NHL goal scoring is up way more than it ever has been.
Now,
it really has.
Okay, and this may be a topic for something else down the line. Hardest position in all of sports has to be NHL goalie. It has to be. It has to be. How in the hell can you focus on that puck? There's certain instinctual things I think you do. If the puck's over here, that you just drop to a certain position.
Being a catcher in baseball isn't easy either.
I can't imagine not just on the knees, but I watched a guy do the full splits the other night and still get one up here over. I'm like, how in the hell did he even see that?
I would agree.
With everybody piled up in front of him.
But catcher, if the manager lets you call the game, you're calling the game for the pitcher. You're taking foul balls. You gotta work your magic with the umpire. You gotta have a good relationship.
Yeah.
You gotta
watch your mouth. I would imagine as well.
So,
but I do think that that would be interesting. If you got something you want to chime in on, feel free to bring it. We have a host of folks watching: Steve and Lisa, and Blake and Kathy. Chris Clark is watching. One of my buddies from the ACO. Haven't had him on board, I don't believe. Jeanette's on board, Kevin, and a handful of others. I also just noticed by looking down at the screen that I'm doing this for some reason with my hand, like jazz hands. Why am I doing that?
I don't know.
Do I have a trigger finger?
I know I do this.
Yeah, you do, but I'm doing all of a sudden I'm doing like jazz hands. I'm going to stop.
I know this will disappoint you, but I'm not paying that close of attention to what you're doing.
Well, I didn't either. I just saw it on the thing, which I probably shouldn't see the monitor. That's not good.
So back to something we were talking about earlier, though. So where are we now? You brought about the world upside down and just
we're right where we were.
But I got to tell you, it felt great to be out there Friday and to see people. And it's like Andy, like human interaction when I was calling Andy Furman and he's basically like, I can't wait to come out because I just, it's been so long. I think people are, I don't know. I feel like now it's just, I'm enjoying going out, doing a bunch of interviews for the Crosstown Showdown. Well, and I've been going to some Skyline Chili's. We go to schools, doing a lot of promotional videos in advance. I thoroughly enjoy being out there, keeping proper social distance, wearing a mask when you have to. But the reality of it is it's just fun being out talking to people.
Well, it is, but it's also disconcerting when you get out. Like I was, for instance, at March 1st on Saturday. We waited, distanced, whatever. Right. We finally got up to the bar. Bartender's wearing a mask. I'm wearing a mask.
Right.
It's loud.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, tell me what I'm ordering right now.
Can't.
No.
Can't.
No, and it's and to a certain degree there, it's like you're having to yell and then you're pushing harder out your windpipe. It's just
right.
It's just one of those things, and it's like,
well,
at some point you're going to have to let people and businesses determine on their own how they're going to do their business. You have to.
I love how they X'd out every other urinal in the restroom. That's part of the protocol. And we were talking to some people before, and I said, look, man, you don't worry. There's no worry about social distancing for me in the restroom with a urinal. Yeah. I'm not ready to hunker up right next to somebody. That's not happening anyway. So
that's a great point, because I don't think that's something. I think a woman was in charge of that decision.
You think?
Because we do that anyway. There's not. If you're in there and there's a line of 6 and you're at number 2, I'm not going to sidle up to number 3 and go, "What's happening there, Chief?
Right?
How we looking?"
And I got to be honest with you, when people do that to me,
it's a bad time to bend down and pick up my koozie.
Yes,
too, isn't
please.
It?
When they converse with me in the restroom when I'm at a urinal, I'm like, no. Just
you know what it's
finish.
Called? Remember
and go.
Sniglets? Remember Rich Hall, the comedian?
Yes, I do remember
Sniglets?
Rich Hall. Yes,
there was one that was called the P spot, and it was that spot right above the urinal where your eyes lock on, and you do not look away until you have zipped up.
Well, that's why
shaken and finished.
That became a great advertising space.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's where you want to look. I mean, you want to look straight ahead. And I'm not going to lie. I usually look down to make sure that I'm not standing in a puddle, which is a little unnerving. But beyond that, I look straight ahead, or I kind of just –
I remember.
I'm not looking at Fred. I can damn sure tell you
years
that.
ago when we did back when I was at EBN, we did it was Cincinnati Bell. First time they really had cell phone covers, not the flip phones, but you had like the solid state phone. And we did phone covers with them that we gave away with a frog on them. And one of the ads that went in the bathrooms on the print, it said, "It feels great in your hands." And it was that was the whole thing. And that was what it said.
There's one in a restaurant around here that says, "Please remain seated for the entire performance." So that's a pretty good one, too. Every time I go in there, that makes me chuckle. And I'm not going to tell you what this is now. My family's all up in arms. But I'm working on something where I need a new piece of technology, a new device, because you're going to thoroughly enjoy. You know, I'm not going to be that person who bitches about something and doesn't do something about it.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
You're going to
my
love
God.
this.
Well, when did that change?
It's going to start in the month of September. I'm going to have some results for you, and I'm going after people with this one. It's harmless, but I'm tired of fraudulent people.
All right.
And I'm going to do something about it, so you're going to love this. I got this off an episode of Chicago PD,
of course,
and I'm going to put it to use. So
All
just
right.
get ready.
Outstanding. All right. Well,
yes,
it's still a little bit of an upside-down world. We got somewhat back to abnormal last week. I think we get back to the celebration of your birthday because today's a big day. I brought you a gift. I totally forgot about this earlier. Are you ready? Do you want your gift?
I bet it's a gem, sure.
It is.
Really? What is this?
Huh?
Oh, you piece of...
It didn't come from anywhere. It came from the Wendy's in Milford.
Okay.
It's your chili. It's only a month late.
Then it's got a shot. Was this purchased today or some time ago? When
it was tonight on the way over here.
All right, I appreciate that.
You're finally got your chili, Fred.
There you can see Wendy.
Are you allowed to do that?
Burlington, I don't give a damn.
Can you show the logo?
I don't know.
Are we allowed to do that?
In case. Who knows?
Hell, I don't know if my Bob Ross shirt's going to get us thrown off for political content. He's dead, by the way. Sucker bug.
Do me a favor and just don't use that word again around me.
What, Wendy's?
Political.
Oh, political. Okay. Fair enough. Well, happy birthday. Now,
thank you.
How about a little show and tell? You want to do some show and tell?
Sure, I'd love to do some show and tell.
All right. Do you want to go first? Oh, wait a minute.
Ooh,
do we still have the graphic?
Hold on.
Wait.
We have this segment that we do each and every week at this time, and look at this awesome graphic, please. That's when you know it's live.
Yeah, how about that?
The program is live. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I think you should go first because it's all kind of part of your big day.
Well, it's funny. So it's not my big day. I don't even. If it were up to me, I wouldn't even acknowledge. But I do have to give credit to my lovely wife, who last evening we kind of celebrated last night. If there's a celebration.
Oh, the seafood boil! I saw that,
man,
or
it was
broil.
Outstanding.
He griped that he had to pull it apart with his hands.
I'm not going to lie to you. Crab legs are not my favorite. Too much work.
Too much work.
Too much work for too little return. Outstanding, though. There's a place. It's in the Florence Mall. It's called Aficionados. Fresh seafood. It's awesome. Awesome. And there's shrimp.
Crab legs are too much work.
Well, now, you know me, man. I had to peel my shrimp. That was enough.
Oh,
right?
for God's sakes. That's to keep you from eating too much. All right.
Well,
so anyway.
that didn't work. But anyway, where was I? What the hell was I talking about?
You were
yes.
talking about aficionados.
I was. Go there if you haven't been there. You're looking for fresh seafood. It's outstanding. But so I know you have you frequent the Lila Avenue, the Skyline Chili in Milford.
Yes,
You're
I do.
a regular there, sit at the counter, and they have acknowledged your birthday on their marquee. More than once.
Yeah,
right?
I think 4 different years.
Okay.
Some stupid kid was up there this year. I didn't
So
get up
today I was out in St. Leon, Indiana. One of the great owner-operators named Dave Deddens. He's a tremendous guy. I love doing stuff with Dave. And we were in there. I was cutting a video for the Crosstown Showdown. You can check it out tomorrow at X-Town Showdown to get this week's Showdown game. And check it out today if you like, but we'll be on there all season long. And I just mentioned to him that today happened to be my birthday.
there. Yeah.
And God love him, man. He went inside and he goes, "Hey, check that marquee." He's got a digital kind of rolling marquee out there.
Oh,
and
he does?
He did.
Not
and
the slot letters?
no.
Oh,
And
how
he,
about that?
Yeah, there you go. That's my show and tell for this week. Kudos to Dave. Appreciate you, man.
It makes you feel special, though. It
Well,
really
it does.
does.
I mean, it made me feel special that he went and just did it while I was out there. And he put the Showdown logo on the marquee as well. You can see that again at X-Town Showdown. And we'll announce this week's game and thoroughly enjoy. He owns a couple of them over in Southeast Indiana. Love going over there.
That's awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Very good.
There it is.
Outstanding.
And he had a number of – and smart. I mean, Skyline Chili's just that place. They get it, like they did for you and Minnie Finn and that, they had a number of birthdays up there. And you know what's going to happen to those people? They're going to go in there and enjoy a Skyline Chili meal like I did.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
awesome
I
in
would
the
tell you,
large
like at
five-way.
my store there on Lila, Keith and his family that's been their business forever and ever. They know every single person that comes
Right.
in there. And if
So
they
does
don't
Dave.
know you, they know you by the time you've left.
Well, we were standing out by the marquee when I was cutting the second video, and I bet 10 people at least honked their horn and waved at Dave. And, of course, I was waving. I go, man, I didn't know that guy was out. Or I go, I know they're waving at you, but I'm going to have some fun with it anyway.
I love it. I got a composite picture that I have of the 4 different times I've been up there.
Yeah, it's cool.
And the cool thing is you can see it up there, and they've spelled my name differently each year because I told them they spelled it wrong the first
Right.
year because
I
that's
remember that.
the kind of dick I am. But anyway, I put the little composite picture together. I'm like, it makes me feel, makes me feel younger. It makes me feel like I'm like this many. So anyway.
Doesn't make me feel any younger.
Little kids should be up there, not adults. But I think it's cool that they did that.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I love the fact that
I'm
I'm
with
going to
you.
pound on them to do it again
You mean
next
Keith,
year.
who was going to retire?
March 20th.
And
Guess
he's still
what?
there, right?
He's still there
Yep.
because the C word.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
his big plan was to retire and go to Vegas. Womp womp.
Yeah,
so
well, you can go. They got great. I got to tell you now. I'm going to tell you next week about a special they got in Vegas. I'm going to take advantage of.
all right.
Nobody
What's that?
knows this shit in my house. I'll tell you next week.
Bunny Ranch.
No,
Oh, okay. All
it has
right.
nothing to do with that. It's going to be a nice, relaxing. I'm going to work in Vegas.
Very good. Well, Jeanette mentioned in the comments when we were talking about most difficult positions in sports, and I mentioned NHL goalie. I got to think that's the most difficult. But you mentioned catcher, baseball, and she said she loved her days as a softball catcher.
Same deal.
It
Yeah,
just
sure.
it turns out that my show and tell is a softball. It's the dumbest. No offense to softball, it's the dumbest autograph thing that I have.
This is going to be good.
This goes back to when I think you guys gave me this as a birthday present when I was at 96 Rock. It was part of a batch of different things, but because I used to wear my hair in the ponytail out the back of my hat, they said I looked like
I remember
the
it well.
catcher for a lesbian softball team.
Yes.
Don't get butt hurt. That was years ago and whatever. So they gave me this softball that said, "We're 2001 women's softball champion." Well, Jeff Tate from Queensryche came in one day, and I had nothing to get signed. So I ran back and grabbed this softball. So I have a Jeff Tate Queensryche softball autograph. It's the dumbest autograph I have.
What did he think when you brought that back?
He
to
just
him?
said whatever, and he just signed it.
Yeah, they don't care.
But the cool part about that, and I should have sent the picture, that was the day he was also in there because we knew he was coming. So we had him and our buddy Jeff Tate, the comedian,
Right.
who also spells his name Geoff, had them on the air together. And I never thought that would ever be possible. But that was one of the most fun interviews ever because I got my picture. I have a Jeff Tate sandwich. I got my picture between the two Jeff Tates who I never thought would meet. And they were great together. I'd always heard Jeff Tate was not a very nice guy from Queensryche, but he could not have been more, as you like to say, delightful. And
Sometimes you have to find out for yourself.
Well,
You know
it was
what I
funny.
mean?
Jeff Tate, the comedian, was telling him stories about. He goes, I don't know if you get my mail or not. He goes, but if you do, would you like to pick up any of my student loans? And he said there was one time he was playing in Seattle, and Queensryche's from the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
He said he was up on the poster, and people came in thinking it was Jeff Tate from Queensryche, and we're all mad when they got in there and it was him doing stand-up comedy. 4 or
Thought you were
5
going to
of
a
them.
concert. Yeah.
Yes, they thought it was like some sort of little acoustic thing in this little club. They get in there and
that's
it's his
great.
ass telling jokes. He said, but the cool thing was they stayed and they had a great time. And he goes,
That's cool.
I got 4 or 5 new fans out of the deal. So anyway, the Jeff Tate signed softball is my show and tell.
And
for
don't
this
forget,
week.
we need to remind people, too, that the Catherine Nero, last week's house guest with Catherine Nero, is archived, and you can check it out at your leisure whenever you feel like it. And I think you really, especially if you're somebody who's kind of thinking about, maybe I need to do something different, is now a good time. I think the advice from Catherine Nero, who's now doing Coffee Break with Catherine, Cincinnati.com, 10 a.m., Monday through Friday, doing a couple other things, and has really kind of just did a thing about confidence on camera. She taught a course, but I think it's very good. You can check it out, and then don't forget, Wednesday night we'll be talking to Andy Furman, the former host of Sports Talk, local media personality, PR guy. And if you haven't heard Furball, he's a delight. He's funny.
A piece of work.
He's old school, but with a great sense of humor and kind of an edge to him. So,
and
what's look forward to that.
Funny about him too, kind of on that same pivot note, which I don't know if that's the drinking game again this week, but if it was last week, you're probably still hungover. But he's a guy. His entire career has been a pivot. I mean, he's had so many different things going,
right?
One to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. That I don't even know if one episode will be enough to get all the stories.
We might have to stretch it to 2, but we'll start with 1 and see what goes there. And then we've got after Drew, we're going to have be out on the road. We're going to do Lance McAllister next week, and still working out the details of that. But that Wednesday night at 7 is going to be our customary house guest, and hopefully you're going to enjoy. We're going to get up people from a number of different walks of life. I mean, it's not just going to be media folks. We're going to have other people that we're going to talk to, so I hope you enjoy that.
Yep, and Sheila Foreman's on board, and Kevin Larkin, Harry McCain, handful of others. Don't forget, if you guys want to participate in Show and Tell, all you have to do is send us a picture of your item, the thing you want to show off, and then tell us a little bit about it. Show and Tell. It's gambleandfin@gmail.com. It's gambleandfin@gmail.com.
And don't forget the road show. We hit the road again coming up in October. Got some time to plan for that, but looking forward to being out at the Homerama.
Yeah, can you believe that?
Right, where they're building up, not out, literally down on the river, kind of in the East End, if you will.
Yep.
And League of Animal Welfare.
League for Animal Welfare will be the recipient of the charity stuff that we're doing with this. And this is going to be cool. There's I think 7 lots have been built up, and there's 30 lots ultimately going to be available. But we're going to be down there doing the show live to benefit League for Animal Welfare. That's where Calvin came from.
Right, yep.
And also Streetside Brewing. So we're doing Puppies and Pints is what it's called. So it's an opportunity to come down, have a beer, hang out for a little bit, see some animals. They're going to have some dogs and cats. There's a P word for cats, but we couldn't use that because it's a family show. So we are just sticking with Puppies and Pints. But October 12th, we'll be down there around the normal time. So we'll give you more information. And we're going to be giving you information on how to get tickets because those tickets benefit the League for Animal Welfare, and they do great work.
And come hungry because our boy Andy from Kebabski.
Oh, Kebabski.
Will be there.
I am Andy.
Yes. Oh, yeah, Andy.
He is Andy.
He'll be coming around, and it's always enjoy Andy. He's a great guy. Awesome Lebanese food.
Yes, he introduced
very
me
good.
to the hookah.
He did. I bet.
Yes,
I'm sure
he
did. Yes, indeed.
Strawberry, I do believe.
So, yeah, all that. We got a lot going on, and we're glad you're with us tonight, and we hope you continue to tell people, like, share, all that kind of stuff because we want to keep building this and hopefully giving you. We got a number of other things we're working on, too, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and again, Wednesday night, Furball, and Steve says, the first time I heard him, He was at Flanagan's for a Bengals pregame.
Oh,
and he,
God, yeah.
He told a caller he bet his mom had a mustache. So we'll have to ask him about that if we remember.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, happy birthday, Fred.
Thank
Enjoy
you very
your
much.
chili.
Oh, I can't wait to dive into my chili.
Yeah, it's
Bet
only
it's
5
nice and
weeks late,
piping hot.
but it came all the way from Milford,
It
so
did.
you could have it.
Sounds good. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
and don't forget, Thursday night, we're back on 700
Oh, yeah.
WLW, one of 2 Thursdays.
Glad you
the
reminded
Reds
me.
and the Bengals, actually,
Yeah.
aren't on a Thursday night.
Correct.
So 9 to midnight this Thursday night, 700 WLW. So Wednesday night with Furman, Thursday night doing our normal nonsense on the radio station. Look forward to it, and then we'll be back here on Monday, as you said. He's Gamble. He's the birthday boy. I'm Finn. Thanks for checking out Larger Than Live. We'll see you next Monday.